The VA has thousands of benefits, and it's a very complex system. If you've ever gone on their website, it'll make your head spin because it's not very clear on how to get the benefit and if you're eligible. So under the VA rules, a veteran with one dependent is eligible for $2,127 a month of tax-free income to help pay for home care or assisted living or nursing home. A single veteran would be eligible for $1,794, so you're looking at the 8 in attendance line. And the surviving spouse would be eligible for up to $1,153. From a medical standpoint, your doctor has to fill out a form that basically says you need assistance with 2 activities of daily living. And they're the hard ADLs. ADLs are activities of daily living. So they have to be things like dressing, bathing, walking, transferring, and physically eating. Transportation, medicine management, prompting don't qualify as assistance with ADLs. If you're legally blind, you are automatically medically qualified. If you suffer from dementia or Alzheimer's and your doctor certifies that due to that disease you are unsafe to be left alone, that's sufficient. So we have people that we call walkie-talkies that are very confused, but they still dress themselves, they still eat, they're able to put something in the microwave, but you would never feel good about leaving them at the house by themselves. So if the doctor will certify to that, then that will qualify. From an asset standpoint, as a household, you can't have more than $80,000. So what is excluded from that $80,000? Your homestead is excluded. Your term life policy is excluded. Your car is excluded, and your burial is excluded, and your burial plot. But that's it. Everything else counts under the VA rules. So your IRA will count as an asset. Your rental property would count as an asset. So any assets you have will count. Now remember I said under the VA rules you can set up an irrevocable trust. So you could fund an irrevocable trust and apply for the VA. But we would need to do a cost analysis of what that means, because if you're liquidating IRAs you have to pay taxes on it, and it's probably going to be quite expensive to do that depending on how large your IRA is. We also have to analyze, is it more probable than not that in the next 5 years the elder is going to need nursing home care? There are people out there that only focus on the VA, and this is used strongly for marketing purposes at the assisted livings. And why do I just warn you about that is they will bring in people that sell annuities and they'll say just put it all in an annuity, and that's going to be a really bad decision when you get to Medicaid. So don't be short-sighted and really go to someone that understands both benefits so they can advise you long-term what the best strategy is. The VA money from an income standpoint makes less sense. So income-wise, they look at household. Asset-wise, they look at household. So income-wise, husband and wife's gross monthly income has to be 100% depleted only by out-of-pocket medical expenses. If as husband and wife we make $3,000, I have to prove to the VA that all $3,000 is being only spent on out-of-pocket medical. Well, that's probably happening if my husband's in the assisted living, and the assisted living counts as an out-of-pocket medical. But let's say my husband's only beginning to suffer from dementia, I can't leave him alone, and I need caregivers in the home. Until I hire those caregivers, I don't have those out-of-pocket medical expenses. So what do? A lot of times we will pay a family member under what's called a personal services contract, and we'll pay that family member, it can't be the spouse, to provide those services to my husband until we get the VA benefit. because then we show that $3,000 a month is being spent. But that's all our monthly income. How are we going to pay the rent and pay for food and gas? We're going to have to pull from our assets, or that child's going to have to turn around and pay our bills with that money. And that's taxable income to that child that has to be reported to the IRS. Once the VA money comes in, then that money can be used to hire the private caregiver, but we still have to spend 100% of our gross income. The VA, as you know, takes a long time. I've had people wait over a year for the VA money. I've had the same application get approved in 30 days. There's no rhyme or reason on why it takes longer on some or than not. They can be absurd sometimes in their requests. I had a woman that was in her mid-90s apply for her husband, and they wanted the long form of the death certificate because they wanted to know that she didn't murder her husband, and they actually put that in the letter. And when we mailed the long form to them, they mailed it back to us with a request for the long form. So you have to have a lot of patience.